Okay guys, so before we get started, just a few objects you're gonna need for day 2. A dowel rod, 2 or 3 feet's plenty. We're gonna need a little resistance, so I have my wife's decorations. It weighs probably 10 or 15 pounds. And the last thing you're gonna need is a chair or a support surface to sit down onto. For beginners, probably something a little higher. People that have a little exercise experience, maybe something lower to make the exercise a little more challenging. Let's get to work. We're gonna be starting off on our stomach on the floor with some prone press-ups.
For these prone press-ups, focus on keeping your pelvis connected to the floor. As you extend up, listen to your body and only extend as high as you can. Over time, it'll loosen up and you'll notice that you can press up a little further. So again, just focus on keeping the pelvis to the floor and then extend as high as you can. With these Supermans, I want you to focus on the gluteal muscles and the back muscles to extend your spine. You might pause just for a second at the top. Keep it slow and controlled. So some of you beginners, you may not be able to achieve this full extension. Again, just do what you can. Over time, you'll get loosened up and you'll notice that you're able to extend more and more with consistency. So just keep at it. Hip four-way exercise, we're going to go into hip extension, hip abduction, and then hip circles both directions. So with this exercise, I want you to focus on keeping a neutral core. Keep your spine neutral, keep your core tight. Focus on entirely the gluteal muscles. So try not to rock your body as you're performing these movements. Try to keep your spine neutral, your back straight, and then your core tight. And then focus on your breathing as you go through these movements. Okay, after these four-way hip exercises, we are going to be getting up onto your feet for our next exercise.
Get your dowel rod, position it on your back parallel to your spine. You should have 3 points of contact at the top of your shoulders near your head, 1 at the middle back, and then 1 at the lower back near your waistline. So we'll get that into position, and then as we get that into the position, if we do this movement properly, a standing hip hinge, we should maintain each point of contact, those 3 positions, the lower back, the middle back near your shoulder blades, and then up towards your head. That's going to help cue you to keep your spine in the proper position during this movement. So during a standing hip hinge, we want all of the movement coming from our hips. So it's going to look very similar to how I show you here. I have 3 points of contact, and then I'm hinging forward at my hips. So if I do this incorrectly, you'll see what happens. If you do it incorrectly and your lower hand or the lower part of the stick comes off of your spine, that's just a good indicator of how much extra stress you're putting through your lower back, and you could potentially set yourself up for some lower back pain. So this next exercise is a standing hip hinge. We're going to do 3 sets of 6. show you from the front. Looking at it from the back. Okay guys, so perfecting the hip hinge is the building blocks to mastering other movements such as the squat and the deadlift. Those two exercises are very effective at treating chronic low back pain and reducing the risk of developing back pain down the road. So if you struggle with that a little bit, spend some extra time on that, watch this video, play it back, get to the standing hip hinge exercise, and really master that hip hinge. So the next one we're gonna work on is a Jefferson curl. Going away from extension here, we're just gonna, standing up nice and tall, imagine like we're bending forwards at each individual segment of our spine and just taking it over to the toes nice and slow. So a Jefferson curl looks like this. So on to the last exercise of day 2, we're going to be doing box squats. So I'm going to show you the first set with that hip hinge and dowel rod with proper body mechanics. So for beginners, your chair, you might want to get something maybe a little bit higher. That's going to make it easier to get up off the chair to initiate the hip strengthening exercise. For people with a little more experience, get you a chair a little bit lower. You might start off your first set with your dowel rod just to make sure you have proper body mechanics. And once you feel comfortable with keeping your spine in a good position, let's progress the weight. So with the proper weight progression, the last set of 6, you should struggle a little bit. So don't let your form break down, but if you have the proper weight, your last few repetitions of the last set of 6 should be fairly difficult. Okay, so now we're gonna get rid of that and we're gonna get a little resistance. So my wife hasn't put the Christmas decorations yet, thankfully, so I've got probably a 15-pound pumpkin, I guess it is. So 15 pounds. If you're using weight in front of you, make sure you keep that weight close to you to reduce the risk of back pain. So I'm just gonna cradle this up against my chest, and we're doing 6 of them. And this stuff kind of smells good too. So deep breathing, the fresh aroma of these decorations and candles. Give yourself a 30-second rest break, 2 more sets of 6. So I'm gonna hammer these last 2 sets of 6 out with this 15-pound resistance. Okay guys, so the last movement of day 2, we're gonna review what we did on day 1, bending forwards, backwards, side to side. Again, we're doing this so you can compare from day 1 to day 2 to day 3 and to day 4. Hey guys, good job with day 2. You're halfway home. Stick with it. We'll see you back here for day 3.